everyone, I'm Nurul Hazrina binti Nordin from UMPSP STEM Lab, the Faculty of Electrical Electronics Engineering, University Malaysia Pahang Al Sultan Abdullah, the instructor for this course.
Chapter number 2 is game window and player setup. Now that you have an understanding of game development basics, we will move on to setting up the game window and defining the game. In this chapter, we will learn how to create and configure the game window, define and customize player attributes such as size, speed, and appearance. The key programming concepts covered include function definition and program initialization, using player operators and expressions to control player design and movement. Before we dive into Python for game development, let's take a moment to understand why Python is the preferred language for various applications, including Raspberry Pi programming and game development. Firstly, Python is one of the most convenient programming languages. It is simple and readable syntax makes it easy to learn and use, even for beginners. Python provides a built-in programming environment. It comes with tools like the Tony IDE and an interactive shell, which make coding and debugging easier. Python has great APIs that allow direct access to Raspberry Pi. This makes it ideal for projects that involve sensors, actuators, and automation. Python is a high-level language, which means you don't need to worry about low-level memory management. Unlike C or C++, you don't have to explicitly declare data types, such as integers or floating points, before using them. Another advantage is that Python doesn't use pointers, which eliminates a common source of programming errors in C and C++. Python supports object-oriented programming. It allows the use of classes and objects, making code modular, reusable, and easier to manage. However, there are some trade-offs. Python is slower compared to C or C++ because it is an interpreted language. So, instead of being compiled into machine code, Python runs line by line, which affects execution speed. But this also makes debugging easier and allows for rapid development. Overall, Python's ease of use, flexibility, and strong hardware integration makes it an excellent choice for programming Raspberry Pi and developing games. Let's explore its capabilities as we move forward in this course. So, Python is known for its simplicity and readable syntax, making it an excellent choice for beginners. Let's compare how different programming languages print the phrase "Selamat datang" on the screen. In C, we need to include a library, define the main function, and use printf. While in Java, we need to define a class and a main method before printing the text. Here's how it looks. Now, let's have a look into Python. Just a one simple line of a code does the job, simply as print "Selamat datang." No semicolons, no special functions declaration, just a straightforward approach. This simplicity makes Python an excellent language for game development and beyond. Before we start coding our game, let's explore the different ways we can write and execute Python programs. Python provides two main environments, the interactive shell and the integrated development environment IDE like Tony. The Python shell allows you to type and execute single-line commands interactively. It's great for testing small code snippets. However, for developing full applications, we use an IDE like Tony. It provides an editor to write and save scripts, as well as tools to debug and run programs efficiently. For our game development, we'll be using Tony IDE as it allows us to write, test, and manage our Python codes in a structured way. To build our game, we need to understand how Python handles different types of data. Let's go through the most important data types you'll use in this course. The numbers. Python supports integers such as 10, -5, 100, and floating point numbers. An example is when you declare player score at the beginning equals to 0. Secondly is the strings. Strings store text. In Python, we write them inside single or double quotes. Next is the list. Lists are used to store multiple value in a single variable. They are mutable, meaning we can modify them. Example, next is tuples.
Similar to list but cannot be modified after creation. It's useful for fixed sets of values, for example, screen width and height. And finally, the dictionary. It is used to store key value pairs. For example, player stats, name Ali, score 50, life 3. Throughout this course, we will use these data types to store and manipulate game elements, such as the player's attributes, enemy positions, and game scores. Let's start with designing the game window. To use Pygame in our code, we need to import the library. So insert this code, import Pygame. Define the width and the height of the game window. Values determine the size of the window where our game will be displayed. We'll make the window 300 pixels wide and 300 pixels tall. Colors are represented as RGB values, where each component represents red, green, and blue, ranges from 0 to 255. For example, we'll use a bright blue color for our background. Hence, the value is 00255. Create the game window using Pygame library. This window is where our game will be displayed. We use an infinite loop to keep the game running until we decide to close it. A while loop in Python is like a repeating command. It keeps doing something as long as certain condition stays true. We do this by filling the entire screen with the background color. Same code as before. Once we have drawn everything we want to show in this frame, we need to update the display to make it visible to the player. So this is your game window now. Feel free to customize the color according to your preference. Full code is accessible here. For activity 2, we will define the player. We'll use a green square to represent the player. Add the following code after step 1.4 and before step 1.5. We need a function to draw the player character on the screen. This is the codes that are required. Python allows you to define your own functions, known as user-defined functions, UDF. UDF enables you to encapsulate reusable blocks of codes for better organizations and readability. Def keyword is used to declare a function. Function name is the name of the function you choose. Parameters are input values passed to the function. Function bodies contain the code to be executed when the function is called. Return statement is used to send a value back when the function is called. We call the function in the game loop. Add the following code after step 1.6. So, this is a player in your window game. Now, customize the player to become a rectangular.